Joining me now from Washington, D.C., breaking news reporter at the Washington Examiner, Mike Brest. Mike, it's interesting to hear what Jerry Nadler is talking about. It's also hyper-constitutional, as I keep saying. They're setting up the rules for an investigation. Well, last I checked, and I checked the Constitution with regularity, there is nothing in there about an impeachment inquiry, about an impeachment investigation, and for the Judiciary Committee, which, by the way, doesn't exist in the Constitution either, setting up the rules for investigation. But it's interesting as you drill down on these, quote, rules. Among them is allowing the staff, so Jerry Nadler's staff or Maxine Waters' staff, whoever, the staff is going to be allowed to question witnesses, apparently. Corey Lewandowski is going to be hauled in there next week. So apparently we're going to have staff members, low-level staff members, badgering these witnesses, members of the Trump campaign, and also allowing the Trump legal team to, and I chuckle because this is so nefarious and it's so hyper-constitutional, allowing the Trump legal team to issue some kind of responses in writing? Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? The Trump legal team is not going to engage these nefarious people.
Well, so I think it's interesting what you're bringing up in the fact that what today's vote was essentially to determine how they were going to move forward. It had nothing to do with impeachment, the objective. All it had to do was set up how the committee would handle their hearings or any additional sort of investigation from here on out. So one of the points that they did make that was argued between the Democrats and Republicans, as you said, was that staff members will be allowed to question witnesses. And so also, as you mentioned, Corey Lewandowski will be in front of the committee next week to discuss or to testify about a conversation President Trump had with him in regards to the president allegedly directing Corey Lewandowski to tell Attorney General Jeff Sessions to condense the scope of Robert Mueller's investigation. So when he's on the Hill next week, any staffer of a committee member could, in fact, ask him questions. That being said, the Republicans tried to fight this point, and they were unsuccessful. But that being said, there is no definitive yes or no that committee members, staffers will, in fact, question witnesses moving forward. That was just a rule that was set up and voted on today.
But it's unbelievable. It's so off the constitutional rails, so off the constitutional charts. The American people hopefully are beginning to pay attention to this. I don't know that they are, but they need to be. They need to be listening to Nadler and then look at their pocket constitutions and compare notes between what Nadler is doing and saying and where he's driving his committee and what the Constitution says and reads. And apparently, it's time for another lesson in the Constitution. For the American people and for all of us. And so we look at Article 1, Section 2, and it says the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment. And then we look at Article 1, Section 3. The Senate shall have the sole power to try impeachments. Pretty cut and dry. And then we look at Article 2, Section 4. The President shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. I don't read anywhere in there, Mike, anything about staffers. And again, I say to Corey Lewandowski, and I probably don't have to tell him this, and anybody else who's hauled before this committee, including staffers from the inner circle of the President of the United States, either current or former, do not engage. This is so far off the constitutional rails that the response should be, forget about it. Don't even engage these people. There is no foundation, no constitutional foundation for any of this.
Well, I think you bring up an interesting point in sort of Nadler's extreme rhetoric in regards to impeachment, because it's not something that's held throughout the entire Democratic Party. If you look at a lot of the moderates that won Republican-leaning districts or toss-ups, a lot of them have been very hesitant to come out in favor of an impeachment because they're worried about how it will affect their reelection.
Right.
Then again, you also have to look towards Speaker Pelosi. Just today, Nancy Pelosi got upset at her presser when she was asked about impeachment, and she ended up leaving. Yesterday, she berated a reporter who asked her about impeachment, and both times she changed the conversation and said, why aren't the reporters going to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's office and asking about gun control legislation. And so it's very clear that Nancy Pelosi is trying not to give this newfound impeachment hype the air it deserves.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.